Hey guys, welcome back. This video will be focused on the election process. So essentially how the president becomes the president. So this is the order of events. There are only 3 steps. First, you have caucuses or primary elections, depending on the state. There's not a huge difference. Essentially, the people go vote for the candidate of whichever party they are a member of, and they are trying to choose one candidate to represent their party. Then you move on to convention, which is where there's kind of like a big party for 4 or 5 days, and the party chooses its candidate. And then you move on to the general election, which is what most people think of in a presidential election. And the person the candidates will run against one another, and the Electoral College will choose a president. During all this, there is campaigning, which we're going to talk about here in just a bit. But you just got to understand that this is a long, drawn-out process that starts with a lot of people in each party and ends up with one person running against one other person. So in caucuses and primaries, the job of the political party is to narrow down from a lot of candidates to just one candidate. In 2016, this is the some of the Republican candidates that ran for office. You got Marco Rubio, Rick Santorum, Ben Carson, Donald Trump, who eventually became the nominee and then eventually the president, Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, and Carly Fiorina. They had debates from February all the way till about May, June, July, and it ended up coming down to Donald Trump being the nominee for the Republican Party. It's currently 2020. Donald Trump did not have to do this because he is the incumbent, meaning he has no opposition in the primary, so the Democrats had to narrow it down in this election, and the candidate for president right now is Joe Biden. So here's a side note real quick. Incumbents have an advantage, mostly because they're familiar with the office, meaning they are there every day. They're doing the job every day. That's what they do. Everybody knows who they are. So for instance, most people would know George Bush, but not a lot of people would know John Kerry. A lot of people know Bill Clinton, but not many people would know Bob Dole. That's just how it goes. You know who the incumbent is. You very rarely know who the challenger is. This election's a little different because Joe Biden was the vice president of Barack Obama. Barack Obama was president not so long ago. So Joe Biden's still fairly fresh in everybody's memory, but still definitely not as well known as Donald Trump. All right, there are 2 different types of primaries. You have an open primary where anyone can vote, and a closed primary where only members of the party can vote. Most states do not hold open primaries because open primaries prevent, they kind of encourage people to come vote for the worst of the candidates, especially from the opposing party. So, for instance, if a Democrat were to go vote in the Republican primary, they're most likely to vote for the worst candidate so that the best candidate does not get enough votes to run against the Democratic candidate, because obviously you would want your candidate to be favored in the general election. So that's why most people have closed voters, because Democrats and Republicans would like the best candidate to be out front and be the person running for president. So rather than voting for the worst candidate from a different party in an open election, closed elections, Republicans vote for the best Republicans, Democrats vote for the best Democrat. Then it moves on to the National Convention. Here is a Democratic National Convention from 2012 and a Republican National Convention from 2016. Both of these national conventions are at the same place in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the place where the party officially announces its candidate. So like I said, in 2020, Donald Trump will be the Republican candidate and Joe Biden will be the Democratic candidate. And then in the general election, the 2 candidates run against each other. So the general election occurs on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Don't ask me why first Tuesday after first Monday. That's a long explanation. Just understand first Tuesday after first Monday. And so then you choose between the parties. So you vote for the Democrat or the Republican. You can vote for the third party, but a third party has never actually won the presidency. But you also vote for senators, representatives. You vote for state office and local offices. Remember, it is not the popular vote that elects the president, but rather the electoral vote. So if you look at this electoral map, Donald Trump won 306 electoral votes to 232 electoral votes. Even though Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by over 2 million votes. How do we know the public's opinion? We have Gallup polls. Gallup polls are taken daily. A Gallup poll can be held when someone calls you and asks you questions. Somebody may walk up to you on the street and ask you questions. They can be taken from internet polls. Politicians monitor these polls very heavily to determine where they need to campaign. And if you recall in a previous video, I talked about how Hillary Clinton did not campaign in states like Michigan and Wisconsin, and she eventually lost those states, which would have turned the Electoral College for her had she campaigned. Well, possibly turned the Electoral College. You can also canvass, which means walking door to door. This goes with campaigning. You can also call your constituents. Constituents are people who live in your district. And when you call your constituents, they can sell signs, put signs up in their yard, bumper stickers, t-shirts, buy TV ads, whatever it may be. That's where we're going to stop with this video, and we will pick up with campaigning in just the next video.